So, I'll try and make you look good.
That'll be tough.
Here we go. Let's see. How's that look? That looks pretty good.
Good.
There.
Yeah, super.
All right. This is Patrick Claycomb here with Dr. John Passarini. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay, Dr. Pass, for those who've had him. Here doing an interview on someone who's been important to me in my life. I've recently come to know Dr. Pass. I feel very honored to have met him and to know him. And I'm going to get a little insight into his life and just some things he's done with for children with special needs and for everyone. So, Dr. Pass, I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. First question, where did you grow up and what was your family like?
I grew up in a bilingual home in Newton, Massachusetts, in Newton Upper Falls, which is basically the blue-collar area of Newton. And my mom came over from Italy when she was 16 years old, and she went to school up till the 3rd grade, and after 3rd grade, students had to take a bus into town, and my grandmother couldn't afford the bus, so my mother was very upset that she had to stop her schooling, her formal schooling, because she loved it. And but she's one of the most intelligent women I've ever known, regardless of formal education. And so my dad was born in this country, but he was born with cerebral palsy. And he didn't walk until he was, 11 or 12 years old. And so, but what I learned from my dad was that he always found a way to do something. And with his condition, because he was in a wheelchair for most of his life, he learned how to look at life as an observer and to determine how to do something by modifying the activity. So, I honestly think that I became an adapted physical education teacher because I grew up from infancy and grew up in a home where I saw my mom would clip my dad's fingernails, and button his buttons. I always wondered why, because he didn't have the use of these. He was paralyzed on his left side and didn't have the use of these 3 fingers and found fine motor activity. So I thought, of course, all wives cut their husbands' nails and button their buttons, but it was a rude awakening when I found out that that wasn't the case with my wife, even though she nurtures all of us so well. But I'm only kidding. It's amazing growing up. Of course, our house was filled with a lot of love and good food. My mom made the best spaghetti sauce of anyone, and but there weren't a lot of books. So I struggled with language skills early in my education and repeated the 2nd grade. And so it's a wonderful story, repeating the 2nd grade and then later on earning a doctorate at Boston University. And what happens in between? But it was people who cared for me and saw my potential, and they saw that I had certain strengths, which was my kinesthetic, as Gardner from Harvard would call it, my kinesthetic intelligence and playing sports and getting my confidence and self-esteem from athletics, and loved physical education. So between my dad, my mother's language barriers, she spoke beautiful broken English, and my dad's disability and my love for movement, put it together, and I became an adapted phys ed teacher. So that, and meeting Dr. Hollis Fate, who was the leading adapted phys ed teacher in the whole country in the late 60s. So I graduated from UConn, and I took every course that Dr. Fate offered. And I think, and plus, I met teachers like Warren Priest, who tutored me through junior high school and into high school. And so you put this team of caring adults together. And growing up in the wonderful family that I grew up in, I have 2 brothers, a younger brother Robert, older brother Al, and now I have 3 sons, John, Tommy, and Mike. So I've had a mother and I've had a wife, but I haven't had any sisters or daughters. So I'm very protective of my female students because I'm kind of like they're the daughters I never had. So that's basically in a nutshell my beginnings.
Okay. That actually leads me to one of my questions. What led you to adaptive phys ed?
Well, that, as I mentioned, just the innate observation of my dad and how successful he became, a successful business person. And he worked for my grandfather, who owned a pet food manufacturing company. And so seeing and actually living with my dad, who overcame, he had a dropped foot, so he stepped, slap, step, slap, and he couldn't move very fast. So whenever we'd be playing catch in the backyard and he'd miss it, I would instinctively go get the ball, give it to him, because I thought, well, that's what I had to do in order for my dad and I to play catch. So he can't chase the ball, so I got to go get it. So I think that was my early beginnings of adaptive phys ed, in observing and evaluating the movement ability of children with disabling conditions and crafting an environment that helped them feel successful, stay active, and want to do more of it.